we will make a wonderful program with the Prokofiev Third Piano Concerto and the Fifth Symphony of Prokofiev, along with Khachaturian's Waltz from his Masquerade. But what is so important to understand about Prokofiev is this. He was a marvelous, imaginative composer who has influenced many other composers, even film composers of today, like John Williams. But what is more important is how his music has made an impact on other musicians as well, particularly other soloists and conductors. The Third Piano Concerto, made famous by Marta Argerich, of course, is a reference and standard for all pianists. It's the Mount Everest that every pianist must perform, and it is a virtuosic firework of a concerto that everyone loves to not only hear but to see played, with all the pyrotechnics on the piano. But the Fifth Symphony, what makes it so interesting, is a particular story that I'd like to share with you. Other than the fact that it's a marvelous work of music, it is actually the go-to piece of music that the Berlin Philharmonic uses for young conductors to make their debut, because for Herbert von Karajan, it was one of his signature pieces. And there's a very famous story about Karajan conducting the Cleveland Orchestra by invitation of George Szell. And it was this Prokofiev Fifth Symphony. So, I'm sure for all your viewers, Herbert von Karajan is a much revered conductor. And this story is very interesting because it shows why he was so special. So, they were about to play the Fifth Symphony of Prokofiev, and he comes in and he says, "Good morning, third movement, rehearsal number 72. What? Rehearsal 72? And all the musicians were looking for it, and there it is, this very exposed melody, very high in the register of the violins. And as they played it, he would stop, again, stop again. He would give them instructions, louder, softer, more vibrato, less vibrato. And each time he stopped them, he finally said, play just the first note. And he made them play that for over 1 minute, over and over this one note, until he could find and massage and shape and structure the sound he wanted. More vibrato, less vibrato, more on the fingerboard, less on the fingerboard, more bow, less bow, until finally he said, stop. That's the sound I want for the rest of the symphony. And they started over and played all the way through without stopping. And George Szell, the famous conductor of the Cleveland Orchestra, came to him and says, "Herbert, it took me a decade to create the sound of the Cleveland Orchestra, but you just changed it in one note in 1 minute. Bravo." And you will say bravo when you come and hear the NHK Symphony Orchestra perform this marvelous work, Prokofiev's Fifth Symphony. And when we get to third movement, rehearsal 72, you will all think of Herbert von Karajan and how beautiful the NHK Symphony performs. Arigatou gozaimasu.